Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I often get asked about traveling solo, what I need to take, what happens when I travel solo, and I figured I'd do something different and give you a little bit more about all of that. Plug in. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I know we often look at free diving and scuba diving, but I often get asked about my solo travels. When I went, how it was, wasn't I afraid? And I figured I'd actually answer the questions on a YouTube video. I hope you guys do like it. If you do give it a like and subscribe to the channel because I'll be doing a little bit more of travel in addition to my free diving and scuba diving. So with that said, second, question number one, when was the first time I did a solo trip? The first time was in May 2016. I went to Bali by myself. I had never ever traveled internationally by myself. So it was interesting because everybody kept on asking me, are you afraid? Do you know what you're gonna find? Do you know where you're going? Have you researched the places? And obviously all of those questions I'd answered for myself, but it was still a bit daunting. Let me tell you how it went. So I went for 14 days. I stayed in Bali and then I went down to the Gili Islands where I stayed in Gili Trawangan, but I also went to Mino and Air, which was great for snorkeling, but Trawangan is definitely where to stay. Question number two, when to go? It depends where you want to go, what activities you want to do, and based on that, you'll research the best time to travel, essentially. I always get asked if you don't get lonely. I am yet to get lonely on a trip when I've left by myself. What I've realized is that you're never alone. When I arrived in Bali, it took a little bit of asking around, like when I got to the islands, it took a little bit of questioning as to where my hotel was, but it wasn't all that difficult to find. I just got a donkey with a cart and I was well on my way. So what's interesting is I found that I opened up a little bit more, even though the people who live on the island are not they're not English speaking as a first language, but you can actually get around quite well. But the most interesting thing, I would walk out. If I want to have lunch by myself, then I have lunch by myself. If not, we're all travelers. So I'd walk up to a table and say, hi, my name is Zandi. Would you guys mind if I join you for lunch? And I've never had anybody say no. And even in the city, when I was in Bali, I still didn't battle with getting around, making friends and being in spaces when I wanted to be in spaces, but I'd taken that trip for personal reasons and I needed space. And I did also get a good amount of that as well. 4, activities. So there's always, when you walk any town, you'll always find the guys on the corner of every single street who are handing out pamphlets about trips that they do. You get to call them and you can set up to actually go on any activity that you want to do. Well, surfing, you'd have to go on the beach and you rent a surfboard, but just about everything else you can actually book through one of the charters that actually assist, be it scuba diving, climbing a mountain. I climbed Mount Batu, which is a volcanic mountain in Bali, and that was amazing because I got connected to those people through the people that hand out pamphlets, and I was collected on time, met a beautiful group of people who I still chat with today, and I absolutely loved every single activity that I did. So what I've realized is that when you travel, getting to activities is the furthest place that you'll actually ever be lonely because there's people, and often all it takes is a smile across the room and someone waves and you wave and you smile and you guys have a chat, and everyone wants to know where everyone's going, so don't be shy. You want to know where the people come from, so do it. 5, what I also realized is that the nightlife while you're traveling is also pretty cool. I found that the people that I would have lunch with, I'd sometimes join them for drinks and then go clubbing and then I go back to my room, or you just get to the bar and you have a seat and you start dancing, and oftentimes you'll always find a bunch of people who are excited to see you. And if I have to say for myself, everybody kept on calling me Africa, which was the funniest thing I'd ever heard, but it was just beautiful because in every club I walked into, everyone would be like, Africa, and I would just laugh and hang out. So don't overthink the space, just enjoy yourself. 6, what did I find about alcohol? I would recommend, if wherever it is that you travel, stick to the known brands. I think the best thing when you're looking at safety, always stick to the stuff that is international. Oftentimes it'll be priced a little bit more, but it's well worth the effort because you don't want to find yourself in an unfortunate position in a foreign country where English is not even the first language that's spoken. So for me, also make sure that you don't drink as much as you would, because essentially you need to get yourself back home. In Bali, for me, it was either by bicycle or by a donkey, and either way you still want to say, hey, that's my house, and you get off. 7, I would also say what's also important is communicate with your family and communicate often. So I did not get a SIM card when I got to Bali. What I did do, however, is take advantage of the Wi-Fi, which is everywhere. You did not need a second of your own data, which is fantastic. So anywhere that I got to, I'd always text my sister to say, hey, listen, look at this beautiful sunset, look at this beautiful sunrise. And essentially all it is just every so often communicating so that everyone knows where you are. 8, I think that actually also very much answers the question about data and if you need a SIM card when you get to the country. Wi-Fi is sufficient. And most developed countries actually have Wi-Fi just about everywhere. So when you step into a Starbucks, there's Wi-Fi, so it's not even an issue. 9. The most interesting question for me is what to pack. I packed as little as possible. Check out the picture. I traveled with only a backpack and a slightly bigger bag for my easily movable stuff. I packed 1 pair of jeans, which was the jeans that I was wearing, had 1 set of sneakers, the sneakers that I was wearing, wore the jacket, the only jacket that I packed, and everything in my small backpack was just bikinis and bare minimum of everything. I didn't pack a shampoo, but I did pack my moisturizer because my hair does need a lot of moisture. But when I think about it, the most beautiful part of my travel was the fact that I traveled so light. I didn't have to wait for my baggage because my backpack could go at the top and my little handbag could sit with me. So that made the trip even more pleasurable. Moving between Bali, the city, and going into the Gillies, just as easy. Then you don't have to wait for your stuff at the end of the boat ride. It's actually, I encourage it. Take the time to go on a 14-day trip, traveling on a backpack and maximum 1 more bag, not a suitcase. It's a beautiful challenge, actually. I loved it. Trust your instincts. Trust your instinct. Anywhere you go, when you feel uncomfortable, it's probably for a reason. Step into a coffee shop, have a drink, but I can tell you for free, on every single solo travel that I've gone on, I've never ever felt unsafe. And that actually included going out in the night, going clubbing, having a party, having drinks. There was never ever a moment that I felt unsafe. And lastly, have fun. There is no other time that you're gonna have the opportunity to wake up at the temple of yourself. In the morning, it's a question of what you wanna have for breakfast, what time you wanna wake up, what kind of coffee you wanna have, you know, where you wanna go today, what you wanna wear today. The only opinion that stands is yours. And when you sleep again at the altar of everything that you've always wanted. Solo trips are beautiful for just that. You get an opportunity to be with yourself in a way that in ordinary life you would not. And it's actually the most beautiful feeling where your instinct, your word, your thoughts are just about good enough. So I encourage you to go on your first solo trip. Love it, revel in it, be in it, and just live your best life, because this here life is for living. Cheers guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please let me know about your thoughts below, where you've been, where you traveled alone, and what your experience was. I call them solo-locations because that is exactly what they are. They're beautiful moments to just have a vacation with yourself. Let me know when you guys go. Drop me a comment if there's anything else that you'd like to know. Have a fantastic time. Cheers.